Okay, so Concord. Now, I wasn't going to talk about Concord at all, mostly because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't have any opinion on it. I had no relationship to it. I had no reason to give a damn. I know I must have seen a Concord trailer because they must have played that at Summer Games Fest or at like the Game Awards or Sony State of Play, like something that I've seen. There must have been a Concord trailer at some point, but for the life of me, I can't remember anything about it. Right? And that's not unusual for me. Like, that doesn't necessarily speak to the quality of the product. I forget lots of things. But, like, I had no memory of Concord, what it is, or why anyone should care. So I had no opinion on it. But I was scrolling social media, and I saw a grid that someone had made. A grid made of like, specifically these images of the various characters in Concord. And I was looking at that, and I kind of went, wait, those are the main playable characters? Is this, like... And then I was like, what is this? And it's like a hero shooter. And then I kind of went, like, oh... Oh, well, that, Well, okay, that's not super great on the face of it. And then I got interested in Concord, because, like, sometimes things that don't work so well are just as interesting to talk about as things that work really well. And so let's have a quick chat about Concord and the characters under the characters. Now, I want to stress, I have not played Concord. I have not engaged deeply with Concord in any way. Right, like maybe a lot of the things that don't work at a glance, at a first impression, maybe they work once you've spent some time with it, once you've like invested in it a little bit, once you've, I don't know, watched the cinematics and read the lore of the thing. Maybe there's some stuff that begins to work once you engage more deeply, but at a glance, at an immediate reaction, these character designs are... I won't say that they're bad, because it's not that they're bad, they are boring. Is the thing. They are very, very, to me at least, empty of meaning. So let's talk a little bit about why that is. We'll start with this guy, Mr. John Call of Duty. I don't know the character name. Off the top, I read it at some point, but I forgot what it is. So this, like, you can see the idea of this guy. He kind of slots into the same thing that Soldier 76 does for Overwatch, right? Like, which is, if you've been playing Call of Duty, if you've been playing Warzone, if you've been playing, like, shooty bang bang, normal-ass shooter games for a while, and you want to try something a bit more exotic, well, this is the guy who plays kind of like those other games, right? Like, this is the guy who plays kind of like... who's, like, the Soldier guy, who plays kind of like the Call of Duty whatever, right? Now, Soldier 76 has, like, sort of the divorced dad leather jacket thing going on, right? Like, with, like, the 76 emblazoned across the back that looks a little bit too, like, young for how old he actually is. He has, like, the face mask with the visor and, like, the thing, like, the slight sinister edge with, like, the red eyes and, like, the thing that sort of alienates him, cuts him off from the outside world. You can't see his face. That makes him a little bit like, oh, he's got, like, a little bit of a Punisher thing going on. Soldier 76, you look at him and you kind of go, okay, that guy has a deal, right? Like, there's something up with this guy. This guy has a story. There's something going on here. I look at this guy and it's... the overwhelming impression I get is that there's absolutely nothing here, right? Like, there's not really any story here. There's no personality here that's interesting or worth finding out about. There's nothing unique or special about him. He's just shooty mech soldier guy from video games, right? That's the overwhelming impression I get. And I think, again, partly that's probably part of the point here, is that he's supposed to be Soldier Mech Shooty Guy from video games, so that people who play the Soldier Mech Shooty Guy games will come and go, oh, that's kind of like Soldier Mech Shooty Guy. I will pick him up and I will use him to start with, right? To an extent, but there's a balance to be struck. Like, again, Soldier 76 managed it by, like, having these, like, outrageously very specific, very unique things about his character design, parts of his character design. That's what I was trying to say. That, like, okay, this guy's iconography and only his iconography. And there just isn't... I just don't get that from this guy at all. Like, he's wearing t-shirts and pants, like t-shirts and jeans, effectively, with a belt. And then he's got this styrofoam-ass body armor stuff going on that just kind of looks like repurposed football gear. And, like, Concord seems to be working with, like, a sort of retro-futurist 70s aesthetic, right? Like, it's sort of trying to harken back to, like, that particularly cheesy era of sci-fi, which, again, why the fuck does he just have, like, a bullpup assault rifle thing? What, like, make it a laser gun, at least. So, like, it makes a little bit sense that, like, the props would be shoddy and the characters would sort of just be wearing normal clothes with some bits attached to them. Sort of, kind of, a little bit. Like, that kind of works aesthetically, I guess. But like, however you want to slice it, this is a really boring, empty character design. Especially his face. Like, faces and character designs are... This is just some guy. This is just some fucking dude. Like put this guy in a lineup of like 150 actors from the CW network and like take away his costume. You're never gonna recognize him. Like this is dollar store John Hamm. Like this is nothing, right? Again, sci-fi 70s universe, could you not style him a little bit, like give him a mullet or fucking like give him anything that sort of gives him a specific identity rather than just short hair and stubble, 5 o'clock shadow thing. I guess he has the eye. I guess that's a little special. Like, it sort of indicates, oh, maybe he's taking a bullet to the face or he has a cybernetic thing or something. But, like, I know Overwatch and, like, Blizzard's characters, like, say what you will about Overwatch. Blizzard has shat the bed about that game 100,000 times, over and over again. But it does have a strong sense, like, it does generally have a very strong aesthetic of character design about it. And this guy is just giving me nothing. Like, what's his personality, right? Is he like a wisecracking fun dude who like kind of goes, yeah, let's go guys, let's fucking like, let's do the thing, or is he like serious like I am the serious one who takes everything seriously and I'm the tier 3 operator who only acts efficiently? What, like, is that what he is? Because neither of those personalities are on display in his character design. He doesn't look like a no-nonsense dude who, like, only cares about the mission, only cares about practicality. Not really. His colors, he's too bright and colorful with, like, that bright orange thing going on there, right? Like, with the big open face and, like showing lots of skin. That feels too flippant for Mr. Tier 3 Operator. But he also doesn't look silly enough that it feels like he has, like, the loud, sort of fun, sarcastic guy personality. So what... Who is he? What's his personality? How am I supposed to read him? I don't know. And sort of the overarching theme that I've come back to a lot by looking at Concord character designs is that they just kind of look like people wearing clothes. Right? Like, they don't look like the unique characters of a hero shooter. A lot of them, like, save for maybe, like, the robot, this person sure is wearing something more than that. But, like, this guy, this lady, this person... They're just kind of people wearing clothes, right? It looks a little bit more like I've scrolled into like a very special edition of the H&M Spring Collection fashion magazine, rather than, oh, this is the far-flung sci-fi future with all of the weird space stuff, and these are like the super special hero characters from this sci-fi universe. And they are kind of frustrating character designs to engage with, because like what I want to do when I see a character design, I want to engage, I want to look and see, okay, where's the storytelling? Where's the information? Like, what is this character design telling me about who this person is? About what's the deal? How do they engage with the world? What's their role in a character dynamic? What are they about? And I look at this character and I don't know. Like, what is she about? She's a sniper, it seems. Like, she has the rifle. Assuming that they're a she. Like, I guess maybe they, them. I don't know. They have the sniper rifle. And, like, okay, so they're kind of covered up. Like, they have this jacket that sort of covers up, like, covers their neck. And, like, is sort of very drab. Like, barely has any color on it. Okay, so are they the boring, technical one who's, like, I only care about setting up the shot and doing the mission, and like I am the sort of boring, technical-minded, not interested in fun and jokes character? Because like then they have the backwards baseball cap thing on their head. I don't know if it's a baseball cap. It looks like one, and that seems like, well, that's a little bit fun and a little bit like, oh, that's the sort of character design feature that says like this is a character who has a little bit of fun, a little bit of quirkiness to them. I don't know. Like it's not really clear to me how to read this character design, this fashion. That's the thing about, like, fashion and clothing. They should be expressions of who the character is. They should tell you something about who they are, what they're about, how you're supposed to understand them as part of a character dynamic, right? And I just don't know. Like, she has the goggles on her head. Like, that sort of implies maybe she's technically minded. Like, maybe this is someone who like, does machines and, like, technicality and, like, calibrations on things. But then that kind of doesn't, like, with these long glove things, I would have expected, like, maybe they have some tools on them then, or something that indicates a technical nature. But no, they just have the rifle and, like, a backpack. Right? You see what I mean? It's the character is wearing fashion, but nothing here is giving me information. Nothing here is giving me an archetypal hint to ping my read of the character off from, right? Like, this character has a lot going on, right? This, like, oh, like, this is loud. This is much more like, okay, we're doing retro futurist sci-fi. Here's a character who has some stuff going on. Like, wow, come on. What does this character do in a fight? Like, if I run into this character in the game, what kind of character are they? The knives, I guess, would say stabby, right? Like, this is an assassin character? Or what? Like, what does this character do that is, like, unique and distinct from any other character? Like, what's their special thing, their power? Because, like, going back to, think of, again, Overwatch, Widowmaker and Ana, right? Like, the two sort of archetypal snipers of that game, like, the two, like, specifically. Widowmaker, I have my criticisms of Widowmaker's character design, right? I don't think the sexualization works with her lore. I think, like, the whole thing about, like, she's emotionless, she feels nothing, only the kill gives her any pleasure. I think it makes more, like, the whole seductress thing with, like, the low cleavage and, like, being sexy with the tight bodysuit and all that. I think that works a lot better for a character who's actually, like an up-close femme fatale, like an assassin who, like, sneaks up on someone and slits their throat, or seduces people close up. Like, I don't think it makes sense for Widowmaker to be sexy when she's, like, someone who stays 2.5 miles away from her target, and, like, they never even know that she's there, kind of thing. But Widowmaker is also, like, you look at her and you go, okay, that's a Black Widow, right? Like, that is a femme fatale. That is the femme fatale. That is exactly what that is. And you kind of get a sense, like, with the blue skin and the cool tones of her character design, it's like, okay, Ice Queen, right? Like, this is not, like, passionate, loudmouth. It's an Ice Queen, right? Like, this is someone who has no feelings, no emotions, like, who's, like, pitiless and manipulative. Like, okay, we get all of that just kind of by looking at her. Ana, on the other hand, this is someone who's, like, much more practically minded, right? Like, and again, not practical in a realistic sense, because real snipers don't necessarily look like that, but, like, practical in the sense that, like, she's wearing these big, bulky clothes that look like this is something that's meant to take, like, she's meant to walk through a sandstorm, crawl through an underbrush. This looks like something that would, like, protect her from the elements and allow her to, like, do the job of sniping. And, like, the blue color scheme and, like, the sort of generally sort of friendly vibes of the way that she put together, you kind of get, okay, this is, like, maybe a supportive character. This is, like, there's some hints in there that tell us that this could be someone who could heal someone, even if, like, a sniper who heals people by shooting them is not necessarily an intuitive concept. Who is this? Like, what does this character do? They shoot with sniper rifle gun, and then they... What's their personality? Like, what are they like? What am I supposed to understand about them by looking at the fashion that they dress in? And I'm just not getting anything here. I guess, like, there's the... like, this sort of burnt around the edges, and it's a bit scrappy, and it looks a little bit dirty, which, like, okay, so are these tears around the arms, like the garment was restrictive, so they cut these tears in order to make the sleeves more flexible? Is that what I'm supposed to take away? Or, like, because there's some tearing or, like, some burn here, is that supposed to, like, they're scrappy and they get into a fight? Like, this is not, like, a careful sniper who, like, scouts around and stays in one place for, like 5 hours waiting for the target. This is someone who's, like, more intuitive and, like, more of a runs in and gets into trouble kind of thing. Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about this character by looking at them. Then there's this character. So, as I understand it, this is, like, a sort of utility tank character who has, like, a vacuum ability, who can, like push people around. Like, a lot of displacement abilities and stuff like that. Which, like, okay, yeah, like, sure. Like, it's big. Like, it's a big sort of trash can robot. Okay. what's the robot's person? Like, is this like a murder bot? Is this like, I will exterminate all human life in the galaxy? Or is it like, because with the heart on the front here, and like the yellow, like this bright, cheerful yellow, and like the pink in the eye, my sort of read on the character from a color perspective is like, oh, this is like a cheerful, fun character, right? Like, this is like a cheerful, like, big friend who's like a pal. But then, like, with the sort of low-sloped head and like this like slit eye that sort of peeks out from inside of the darkness, that's a little bit more menacing and scary. Like, that looks a little bit murder bot like. So are they that? Like, the body shape of like the barrel here, like the big trash can barrel shape here, this is all like these big sort of friendly, rounded, pleasant shapes, right? Like, this looks kind of fun and kind of child friendly and adorable. And then you have the arms, which are like, oh, that's a completely different design aesthetic. These look like killer robot arms, right? Like, these look like they're made for like punching things or breaking things, or so they have a very different aesthetic feel than the main body. So am I supposed to understand that the arms are like, this robot like added the arms as an aftermarket thing, like sort of a modification to the self to make them more capable of violence? Is that what's going on here? It's not clear. Like, I don't get any sense of like who this robot is as a personality. Like, think of HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic. This is a bit of a deep cut. You can tell from looking at that robot that that's an evil assassin robot, right? That's like, yeah, obviously he is. Like, clearly he is. There's no doubt about it. Let me bring him up on screen, actually. There's a good screenshot of him. That one will do. That one won't do. What the hell? That was supposed to be bigger. I'm trying to find it. Sorry. I don't edit these videos, so you're going to have to live with it. Here he is. Right? No doubt, looking at this guy, this is an assassin murder robot. Like, all of these sharp lines, right? Like the red eyes and like the sharp slits and like the sort of vertical slit face that's sort of bug or insect. Like, this is an evil murder robot, right? Like, that's not hard to tell from looking at the character design. This one, I don't know, right? Like, because the arms and like maybe that single staring lidless eye under the thing, that sort of says sinister a little bit. Like, think also of like, again, I'm going to make a lot of Overwatch comparisons. Bastion from Overwatch, right? So Bastion has the killer robot aspect to him, right? Like, he has like this very angular, boxy thing of like, he's like a drone, like a thoughtless drone in like a robot murder army. You can kind of see that there, right? Like, that's sort of in its character design, is that it's designed to have a little bit of that pitiless sort of murder drone aspect to it. And then that gets complicated by the color scheme and by the bird's nest that's always resting on it. Like, that tells us something about, oh, this is actually like a gentle, innocent robot, right? Like, you kind of get that just from the fact that there's a bird that's always hanging out with it. Or indeed, especially once it gets the cap from Torvald, it's like, yes, absolutely, I get it. This is a friend now, right? Like, we understand the general concept that this is like a sort of drone murder bot with like lots of guns and shit, but which has turned out to be, I just want to be innocent, live in peace because I'm Wally now, right? I get it. I can see that. Here, it's like, again, it's not that there isn't storytelling happening here, it's just I'm not clear on what it is. I want to take the heart as the main thing, that this is like a loving, friendly pal robot who's a good dude and a friend and a pal. But that feels at odds with the staring eye. That feels at odds with the, like, this looks like a missile launcher or something to me. I don't know what it is, but like, that feels at odds with these like articulated sort of robot arms, but it feels concordant with what the color scheme is telling me, which is like very bright and very colorful. So I guess this is a friendly robot, but like, it's that lack of clarity at a glance, right, about who this character is, what they do, and like how I'm supposed to understand them. Same thing with this character. Is like, okay, is this character a good guy or a bad guy? Because parts of the character design to me says both at the same time, right? I guess they're an assassin stabby knife person. Is this like the spy of this thing? And then like these are like special goggles that let them see things, or are they just meant to be stylish? Like, is this like a source of power for the character, or is it just a bit of fashion on their outfit? And also, if they are the spy, the assassin, then like, I don't know that this like big thing with like the huge shoulder pads and like the coat, because like this looks like the outfit of like a business CEO, right? Like this looks like I run a high powered company in the 80s sort of vibe. This is more of a businesswoman vibe, which like, okay, so she's an assassin business lady, I guess. Is that what she is? Am I supposed to read this fashion as an expression of like, this is like a high powered executive type character? Or am I supposed to look at the knife and like the special goggles, I suppose, and say, oh, okay, this is like a specialized shadow warrior, stab you in the back in the dark kind of character? I don't know. It's really not clear to me how I'm supposed to understand who this character is, how I'm supposed to read what their character design is trying to tell me. Same thing with this guy. So I looked up this guy's abilities, and he is like the shield guy. Like, he has like the Winston shield from Overwatch, and he's like healing. He has like these little pads. He has them on his back, right? That he throws out on the ground, and then they do a shield, or then they do healing, right? But he's just kind of a guy wearing an outfit, right? It's like, okay, cool. I guess the round circle things that he has on his back, these pads, those are kind of like, okay, those are like special tools that do stuff. But then, so why does he have like this big jacket on? Like, is this supposed to be armored? Like, are we supposed to understand this is like, this guy is tanky and he can take a lot of shots because this is like a armor jacket kind of thing? Well, no, it doesn't really look like that. This doesn't look sturdy, or it looks like it's inflated. Like, it looks like it's full of air. But it doesn't look like it's protective gear, right? Like, it looks like maybe flame retardant, right? Like, I could see this guy as like the flamethrower guy, right? Like, as the person who has like all of the damage over time abilities, and like he has this protective suit that then guards him against being put on fire, right? Especially with the big heavy duty gloves that he's wearing, which like, those are terrible for shooting a gun, surely. Like, those are not conducive to pulling a trigger, but they would make sense as like protective gear if he's like handling hazardous materials, right? If he's like interacting with stuff that can regularly kill you. But he's not. He's a support character. He's a healer. But I don't get that from this character design at all. Like, and the goggles also, again, retro-futurist sci-fi aesthetic. They bought stuff at the hardware store and at like the sports supply store, and they spray painted it, and like that seems to be the idea. But these just look like a ski mask, right? This looks like a ski mask. What's it supposed to do for him, right? Because he isn't the flamethrower guy. He isn't the explosives guy. So why does he have goggles? What are they protecting his eyes from? Certainly not anything that he's doing, but they're definitely also not going to take a bullet for him. So what am I supposed to understand from this as a feature of his character design, that he has like protective eyewear to protect him from what exactly, right? And like the jumpsuit thing that he's wearing underneath here is also just like, I don't really like the gray, like this greenish sort of gray color scheme against this very bright blue and then orange on top. Like, the color scheme here is very incoherent to me. But I also like, okay, then he has like this padding thing here, so that means he's tanky. Or is that supposed to be like a spacesuit? Or is it a still suit, like from Dune, that absorbs... I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is supposed to do for him. I don't know, as a player of this game, what does this tell me about this guy's capabilities? I feel like very little. I don't feel like I get anything from him. And also the fucking assault rifles again, like just the fucking military gun rifles. Like, come on. Come on. Come on. Like, at least make it a laser gun or something. So this character, I read up on her abilities. Do you want to guess, like, without knowing, do you want to guess what are her, like, what's her defining ability? Like, what's the thing that she can do that no one else can do that's, like, special to her? When you look at her with her, like, bright purple jumpsuit and, like, gold tattoos and, like, this big, heavy cloak, what do you think her special ability is? Nope, you're wrong. She can build walls. Like, I thought, okay, this is a wizard, right? Like, this is what that's giving to me, right? This is a wizard, this is a magician. this is someone who, I don't know, casts fireball or does wind magic or like something, right? Like that seems to be what the character design is pointing at. But no, she's the engineer. She's the one who's playing Fortnite. She's the one who can like build walls and like box the enemy in. And like, I mean, I guess maybe they're magic walls. Like maybe they're walls that's made of magic, gold magic, something like that. Maybe that's what's going on. But I look at this character and nothing here says this is the wall character. Like this is the engineer character. This is the one who changes the shape of the battlefield and like manipulates the terrain and like, I don't get any of that here. Because she's just someone wearing an outfit. And the outfit doesn't seem to relate at all to who she is or what she does in the context of the gameplay. And I don't know if it tells me anything about her personality either. Like, she seems happy. She seems like a cheerful... Doesn't seem super condescending or arrogant. So, like, I guess she's a cheerful old lady who's, like, likes bright and colorful things. Except then why does she have a cloak that's all gray and brown? If she's like the loud, like, because like the cheerful, loud, colorful old lady, that's like, oh, that's an archetype I understand, right? Like that's a kind of character I understand. But then you have this big, heavy ass, completely stone gray cloak hanging down over that, and I'm like, wait, so what is this supposed to be, like stately? Is she supposed to be like a dignified, because that's the gold would point to that, right? Like she's a dignified ruler class, sort of like someone who's like a monarch sort of character, a matriarch, right? I mean, okay, I guess kind of, but then why the bright, loud, colorful purple if she's supposed to be stately and sort of respectable? I don't know. I don't know what this character's deal is from looking at her. I just don't know at all. Then we have Space Marine at home here. There's some things I really like about this character design, actually. Like, I do like the idea of having, like, this very monocolored, like outfit, like, with this big, chunky Space Marine armor that has, like, a very monocolored thing, and then, like, the makeup is, like, the wild thing. Like, I really do think they're onto something here with the idea of, like, she has this big... drab monocolored armor, but then you look at her face and it's like, oh, she has like bold, powerful, glamorous makeup thing going on. That's an interesting concept. That's a cool contrast to draw. That's a place where you could do something like interesting and iconic with the character, where like they have like this wild face of makeup or something, but she doesn't really, does she? She has like the deeply saturated blue lipstick. I like that. That matches with like a little bit of eyeliner on top of her eyes. That's cool. She has like the piercing across the nose. And then that's it, right? Like, there isn't really a super bold face of makeup in here. There's just blue lipstick, really, as a thing. And this is, like, the only thing on her character design that really contrasts against anything else that's happening. Everything else about the way that the color scheme is put together here is so fucking contrast-free and bland. Because it's just, like, this pale green, and then it's beige, and then it's, like, a slightly more greenish beige, and then it's pale green, and then it's, like, the... hazy brown, and then it's beige, and then it's green, and then there's no contrast. Like, there's no anything that stands out here. So this whole armor, right? Like, this character's clearly supposed to be a tank, right? Like, in terms of gameplay, this is a tank. This is someone who's supposed to be able to take, like, 1,000,000 bullets and never die and, like, sort of stand in front of the party and get healed and, like, take all of the bullets. But compare and contrast this to Reinhardt, right? Reinhardt with his big, elaborate, over-decorated, shiny knight's armor, right? And, like, the shield generator on his thing, and, like, the big hammer. Like, that sort of evokes a very clear and specific archetype. And this, like... she just kind of looks like she's a quarterback who got lost on the way to a Warhammer 40k convention. Like, it looks like football gear again, right? Like, this doesn't really look... like impervious, sturdy, like impenetrable, powerful armor. This looks a little bit fragile, and that again partly comes down to the color scheme, because the color scheme of this armor is so dainty, right? It's this very weak, sort of faded green that just doesn't look powerful. It doesn't look like a huge barrier that like someone looks at that and goes, oh shit, we'll never get past that. It looks really demure and kind of retiring, and not really... doesn't really look like it's something that wants to stand in your way, right? And like a lot of the gear that she's wearing here, the thing is, what it reminds me most of from 40k is Imperial Guardsman armor. Like, this looks like an Imperial Guardsman trying to cosplay as a Space Marine. Like, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. And like, it doesn't look like this is like really big, heavy plate armor either. Like the impression I get from it is that this is like a thin sheet of aluminum draped over like a fabric cloth armor, right? Like where there's not really armor plating. It's like this. Again, it looks like Imperial Guardsman gear. It looks like crappy, shoddy, like the worst shitty gear you could possibly have, mass-produced and just like shoved onto the faces of worthless conscripts who are sent out to die. This looks shoddy. It doesn't really look sturdy, powerful, like something that could stop 1,000 bullets and still keep going. It doesn't really look like that. And like the face, like the makeup on the face, cool idea, but it's so timid, right? It's like, yeah, I have bold makeup, a little bit on my lips, a tiny bit of eyeliner. Because like, if you're gonna do makeup on a character, like if you're gonna use makeup on a character, it should say something about their personality, about who they are. Like, it should convey something about, like, how this person thinks of themselves, how they want to present themselves. And I'm just not getting any information from this. Like, does she want to be fun? Is it, like, Ice Queen? Is it, like, I want you to focus on, like, the boldness of the makeup? And I don't know what the makeup here is trying to tell me about who this character is, any more than I know what any of the armor stuff is trying to tell me about who she is. At all. Which again, like, you look at Reinhardt and like, no, you kind of get what kind of personality is inside of that armor, right? Like, you kind of get, hammer down! I am the big, loud nightman who has who is German, and I have the crusader values of, like, except not actual crusaders, but more like sort of knightly virtue and like chivalry thing. You kind of get that from his character design. What's she about? Is she like a chivalric protector of the weak? Is she like a bully who like uses her big overwhelming bulk to pound people into the dirt? Is she like a Hulk character? Nothing. I don't get anything. So this character is apparently the Pyromancer. Like, this character's like, they do fire stuff, right? Like, they do, and there's part of this works, like, because like what this suit that they're wearing, like with the big puffy sleeves and like the thing, it looks like robes, right? Like, this looks like a little bit like magician's robes. So this is like, okay, we have like a wizard here. I can kind of see that, like, because apparently they can hover and they have like fire. I think this is supposed to be a flamethrower. I don't buy that. It's at least a little more interesting than the fucking assault rifles, but it don't look like no flamethrower to me. But whatever. Like, I kind of get this. Like, there's a wizard here. Okay, cool. Like, this is a wizard. This is a sorcerer kind of wizard. Fine. But then also, it's like, you have this blue, sort of blue-tinted, very drab, very desaturated thing, and you have this bright red burgundy underneath it, and then you have, like, these gold orbs. And, like, okay, but, like, give me something more. Like, give me, what's the iconic thing here? Like, what's this special to only her? Like, she's the only person who could wear this outfit. This outfit expresses the unique thing about her, like, specifically as a character. And I don't, like, the most notable part of her outfit as a character are the beads here, right? Like, this prayer bead thing, belt that she's got going on. That seems to be, like, because it's shiny, it's gold. Okay, that seems unique, but, like, all of this, there's just nothing going on here. There's nothing happening. There's no, like, she's very sort of covered up, right? Like, with this, does that mean she has, like, a retiring personality? That she's shy? That she, like, think of Raven from Teen Titans in some ways. Like Raven had, like, that thing about, like, retreating her head into her hood so you can only see, like, her eyes, but you didn't really see her face because, like, oh yeah, like, she's sort of a retiring, depressive, goth archetype character. You kind of understand that, right? She seems cheerful. Like, she seems outgoing from the way that she's posed. I don't really know what she's doing in this pose. And, like, the smile on her face, and, like, she has, like, these cool ear piercings and stuff, so that's, like, maybe an outgoing personality. But then there's not really any colors, any brightness in the outfit that sort of tells me to read her as, like, cheerful and fun. So she's more, like, dark and sarcastic. And again, the makeup here is so, like, if she's supposed to be the wizard, right? Like, the fire wizard, the flamethrower person. Like, surely you could do a little bit more than just, like, a smoky eye and some eyeliner and, like, a bit of mascara. Like, surely, like, there's a little bit more you could do with the makeup for this character, right? Like, something with a little bit of fire, a little bit of personality, a little bit of anything for me to grasp onto. Because again, I can't tell who this is. She just kind of seems to be wearing an outfit and holding a gun. Like, wizardy, sort of. Like, yes, I kind of get that. A bit. But, like, wizards can look a lot more fun and cool than this. Like, if you really wanted to lean into the sort of science fantasy bit. It's like, because I've read, like, 70s sci-fi comics. Like, the outfit designs were generally a lot more loud and colorful than this for, like, the space wizards. And then this character. I don't know anything about this character, particularly, because there's nothing here. This is just a person wearing clothes. This is just a and like, if they were the only one doing that, right? Like, if everyone else had like Overwatch style costuming on, right? Like, and this was the one person who was wearing like casual clothes, that would be something special, right? Like, that would be something unique, something interesting. But they're not. In fact, just a person wearing casual clothes kind of seems to be a bit of the norm in this game. That they're just kind of wearing their day-to-day outfits and not costumes that are supposed to be evocative of their personality, especially. Right? Like, you get a little bit of information here, because, like, the shirt is kind of torn and scrappy. It doesn't look like it's been well laundered. Like, you see these, like, tears in her pants. Okay, this is maybe a scrappy, kind of chaotic, maybe a punkish character, or maybe like in sort of ADHD, I forget to do everything, I don't take care of myself very well character, or maybe something like that. But looking at her abilities, which I have like the article that these images are taken from, it says ITZ is very much one for the Overwatch 2 Sombra mains out there. Her Cosmic Slip ability operates in the same way as Sombra's Translocator, granting her the means to teleport to an orb that she throws out. Where is any of that? How am I supposed to look at this character design and read, oh, this is the teleporting slippery character who can vanish without a trace all of a sudden and appear behind me and be like, nothing personnel, kid. Where is that in this character? Where's the power source, really? If you talk to League of Legends character designers sometimes, like when they're designing a champion, one of the very important parts of designing a champion for a game like League of Legends, or indeed for a hero shooter, is to give the character a source of power, right? Like, give them some visual aspect of them that a player can look at that and read it and go, oh, they have those kinds of abilities, right? That's the shield for Braum, right? Like, you kind of, oh, he has a giant shield. He can block things and protect people. This is clear from the way that he's designed. You look at Tracer from Overwatch. She has the chrono accelerator thing vest on her chest, right? You kind of go, oh, that's a fancy tech gadget that does something, clearly, and has sort of a little bit of like a chrono aesthetic about. Like, you can maybe you don't know that it's time travel powers are disappearing, but there's a power source there. Like, there's a special magic thing that she has that allows her to do weird, unexpected things. I get that. I see it, right? Renata Glask has like the floating decanter behind her that's like clearly full of like poison liquid or whatever. So you kind of get, oh, okay, like Swain has a demon arm, right? Where's the power source that tells you this is a teleporter? Where's the power source that tells you that this is like passive ability mirror image, dodging or using Cosmic Slip leaves behind a decoy? Where is that? Where is the thing that tells you like this is the character who like leaves behind a decoy and tricks you? Where is it? Because I don't see it. It's just someone posing for an H&M catalog, right? There's nothing there to tell me who this is, what their deal is, how I should read them, why I should get excited about them. Like, they're cute. Like, it's a cute little character design. If this was like a visual novel about aliens sort of casually hanging out and having relationship drama, I'd be like, oh, okay, like this works for that. This is cool for that. Because like that feels appropriate to what the character is doing. But like a hero shooter? This, I don't know what to take from this. I don't know how to read this character design. Same thing with this guy. This guy I looked up. He's like a healer, I think. Like, he's a healer, right? And if you were to guess, where does his healing power come from, right? Like, how does he do his healing power thing? What would you guess the source of that was by looking at his character design? Because my immediate thought was, okay, it's this thing, right? Like, it's over his heart, and he's like a healer, so like maybe it's like metaphorically a power of love thing, where like his heartbeat generates healing waves or something. He can shoot like a healing beam out from it, like something like that, because it's over his heart. That feels like he's a healer. Okay, so he can do something like that, right? No, he has an orb. He throws an orb, and then the orb heals people. Or else it becomes a hunter orb that flies around and kills people. But it doesn't seem... I mean, maybe in the gameplay footage, maybe he pulls the orb out of the chest. So, like, it's like he's throwing his heart, which, like, okay, I guess that could kind of work, but, like, no, it just kind of seems like this is just decoration. And then his color scheme, again with the fucking beige. Like, I know it's retrofuturism, but there's a limit to how much beige you can fucking... Like, he has this color scheme that's like this teal, that's like, okay, that's kind of healery, right? Like, that's kind of support character healery with, like, this bright, and then the teal is like, oh, that's a little bit in that vein. I can kind of see it. But then he also has this big fuck-off, like, assault rifle thing, like this rifle gun thing, which, like, oh, so he's a damage healer thing? Like, that can work, I guess. And he has this hat. The hat especially, because, like, hats are powerful things in character design. Like, change the hat on a character and you can completely change everything about their vibe. Like, hats have a tremendous power to define what a character design is about, right? What kind of hat is this? Well, it's kind of a fucking cowboy hat Stetson sort of thing. Right? Like, what do they call it? Like, they have a specific name, right? But to me, this is like a bounty hunter hat. Like, this is the hat of someone who's like, I hunt people and kill them for money. It's the kind of hat that you use the brim to, like, dramatically shade out your eyes so people can't see your facial expression, so you can be dark and mysterious, which is what he's doing here. But that all indicates that this is like a killer. This is like a murderer. This is someone who, like, kills you dead with his dangerous shooty bang bang guns. It doesn't really say healer. It doesn't really say support class to me, right? What's the character in Valorant who wears that kind of a hat? Let me just go and have a look. Agents, Valorant wiki. Cypher, right? Yeah, Cypher. Right, because that's what this reminds me of the most, right? This guy. Like, with a sinister hat over the face and, like, the thing. But it's like, he's just wearing clothes, man. He's just wearing an outfit. This character I like, though. I like this character. I read up on them. This is a robot character who's like a spy, right? Like, this is a spy who's not really a fighter so much as they have, like, disabling abilities, crowd control, and they are, like, information gatherers, right? This character design, I kind of think that works. Because for a spy character, the fact that they're just wearing an outfit, like they're just wearing some fashionable threads, that works for that. That's like the James Bond thing, right? Like, wearing, like, the tuxedo. That's like wearing the nice fashion and looking really... like, looking kind of cool, and, like, having a specific sense of style. That works for, like, a spy character, like a suave sort of... That works. I kind of like this character design, because here, someone who just wears an outfit, that sort of works. The problem is that that's being undercut by all the other characters who are also just wearing a fucking outfit, right? So now this isn't really unique to this character. This is like... Yeah, this is like a bunch of the other characters do, and for them... the fact that they're just wearing an outfit doesn't really seem to mean anything. So when I come to you, it's like, okay, so clearly it doesn't mean anything here either, right? Like, that would be my immediate assumption, is that this is just yet one more character whose character design doesn't tell me anything about who they are. But I like it as a standalone. Like, I like that they're, like, with the green sort of tactical spy goggle thing for eyes, and, like, they're a robot, and, like, they're wearing, like, a stylish, sort of snazzy outfit. That works for me. In this instance, I think it really works. But it's just being undercut by, well, all the rest of them, right? Then there's this guy, right? So this is like Mushroom Alien Man, right? He's the weird one. He's the one who uses, like, spores for combat, right? Like, who like has, like, the weird poison abilities or the damage over time, or, like, you get hit by a spore and all of a sudden all your controls are reversed or whatever. Like, that's that guy. He's, like, the weird one, right? And, like, yeah, he has the helmet that kind of looks like a mushroom's hat, like a mushroom's crown. He has, like, okay, it's this weird biological stuff on his arms, like these mushroom growth things, like, oh, that's all very cool. And he wears a spork around his neck because of... He has a spork around his neck because of a reason. I don't really know the reason. But then the instant you get below the shoulders is like, oh, it's just an outfit. That he's wearing like a vest, armor vest, and then pants with like some ribbons on them because of like all of this mushroom weirdness, like all of this alien mushroom like biological weirdness just goes away, and it's just a guy wearing an outfit again, right? And I don't know, like maybe below the knees, maybe the mushroom stuff comes back on his feet. That would be cool. That would be fine. But this right here, with all of this like weirdness, then this is just like like this is just like the most generic fucking chest armor I've ever seen in my life. Like at least put some mushroom motifs on it, right? Like have it be like instead of having like wearing like an armor vest that's like he has like armor that's grown out of like hardened mushrooms that sort of protect his chest or something. Like anything, right? I don't know what to do with this. Like, it tells me nothing about who he is. And again, this absence of personality. Is this like the weird, sort of speaks with the plants, like uncanny, strange dude who's like weird alien guy? I don't know. Maybe that's the only thing I'm really getting from this character design. But he could be a completely different personality, and I wouldn't see anything in the character design to contradict it. And speaking of aliens, this fucking guy, holy shit. Like, I'm sorry, it's probably just, like, partly about the way that he's posed, the fucking expression on this shit-eating grin that this motherfucker has on his face. I dislike this guy on sight. I hate this man, like, unjustifiably. I don't know anything about him. Like, I don't know what his personality is, but I look at this and I just kind of go, I don't want to spend a single second in your company. I want you as far, like, you look like the persona of the Joe Rogan podcast. You look like you flirt with girls 30 years younger than you at the bar. Like, you, like, oh, no. Oh, my God, that fucking expression on it. Like, fuck off. Fuck off. No, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to be around you. Holy shit. That's just my reaction. That's not really a problem with the character design. It's just the presentation here. But my real problem is, like, okay, so we have, like, an alien guy with, like, spines and, like, scales on him and, like, stuff. But he's just some fucking dude. Like, that's not an alien face. That's just some fucking guy. That's just a man. That's just some asshole who lives in an apartment, like, with, like, a bed and, like, a TV and, like, no interior decoration or decor, and who, like, goes out drinking with the, like, that's just a guy. That's not, what's the point of him being an alien, then, if he's just gonna be a fucking dude? And the point, of course, is that, like, I would expect it's because they want to mocap his face acting, and they don't want to animate, like, a bespoke animation for a weird alien, like, with unique anatomy. But, like, at least make his nose out of, like, the spines or something, or his, like, give him something else instead of ears, or, like, anything, instead of just, this is a guy in makeup and prosthetics. Like, it... As alien designs go, this is like the lowest tier of sci-fi, right? And again, I know it's retro futuristic 70s sci-fi, like really sort of, it's feeding off of like things like 90s sci-fi with the Next Generation, where all of the aliens are just people in prosthetics, right? I get it. I understand that that's what they're going for, but that shit was also boring and like a very uncompelling way to present aliens as a thing. And like, I look at this guy and it's like, there's no reason for this guy to be an alien. Him being an alien with these weird features to him, because he just looks like such a regular-ass fucking normal dude. This feels pointless. This doesn't feel like it does anything. I don't feel like I'm supposed to understand anything about him or his personality or who he is or what his deal is or what his powers are by looking at any of this, because he just looks like a fucking guy so much. It really, this really frustrates me as a piece of character design, because, like, just make him a guy. If you just want a human guy to be, like, I don't know, sarcastic quip guy who, like does the jokes or whatever, then just do that. Like, just have a fucking human guy. Why bother with all of this if it's not gonna do anything? Anyway, leaving that aside, I like his vest. I think the vest here is actually, like, that's one of the first pieces of, like, oh shit, this kind of has an iconic quality to it. Like, this kind of has a unique thing of, like, because my assumption about this guy, because of the double gunslinger thing, is that he's, like, the scoundrel, right? Like, he's, like, the, as it were, a Han Solo sort of character type. Like, he's the he's like the wisecracking scoundrel character. Like, that's my assumption about him. And I feel like that's supported by, like, this big, like, bright, bold yellow vest over on the top. Like, this sort of flares out, like, makes his torso bigger and, like, gives him, like, more presence. That all works. Then it's just, like, jumpsuit down from there with nothing else. Like, I feel like if that's the kind of guy he is, like, he has the necklace. Give him, like, a few more things, like trophies or little trinkets, or, like, stuff from his adventures that he's been on, or things that he's done, or stuff that he's stolen, or, like, whatever it is. Give him, like, a little bit of something, a little bit more to sort of show off that he's that kind of guy, if indeed he is. That's just my assumption, right? And also, something more interesting than revolvers, please. Like, come on. Like, it's sci-fi space future. Give me a gun that looks like it's a ray gun or something. But, like, no, just the face on this guy. It kind of genuinely upsets me a little bit, because, like, why? What's the point? Why make him an alien? Why bother? What is even the point of making him an alien if he's just gonna be the most regular-ass dude you've ever seen in your life? The most guy-like man, the most fellow-like buddy, the most pal-like bro. Like, what's the point then? Why? Why even? If you're, like, again, if you're gonna do rubber forehead aliens, you can do a more interesting rubber forehead. Like, you can do more interesting prosthetics. You can do more. You can swing for a fence, like, once in your life. This is so boring. I'm sorry. This character I kind of like. Like, there's something here. There's something here. Because we have this giant fuck-off, like, Doom guy helmet, right? Like, this fucking big head mode ass. Like, there's a comedy to that. Like, there's an intrinsic comedy to having, like, this giant head and then this tiny-ass body relative to it. Like, there's something to that. And they're, like, the missile launcher character. Like, they have, like, explosions and explosives and things like that. I do feel like... I don't feel a clarity... again, about, like, exactly how I'm supposed to read them. Like, the mask denies us access to the face. That makes them inscrutable, right? Like, we don't get to see their person, like, what their face is like, what their expressions are. We don't get to know their emotional state or how they're acting, right? Like, we only, like, and that can sort of add to either a comedic character or a menacing character. I don't know which this is supposed to be. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be kind of scared of this person because they're, like, a weird freak like the Pyro from TFT, or if I'm supposed to sort of, like this is like a merciless killer, like in sort of like the no-nonsense Doom guy sort of vein. I don't know, because there's nothing else besides the helmet. Like, the helmet is a cool character piece, but I look across the rest of the design and I just don't... I don't see anything to guide me towards how to understand who this is. Right? There just really isn't anything. And it's like, yeah, okay, it's kind of funny to have the helmet but then no blast suit, but if they are, like, the explosives... Like, I guess they're DPS and they're probably fragile, right? Like, that would be why they had, like, this very small skin-tight outfit to sort of show that, like, yeah, they can do big damage, but they're vulnerable. Okay. But I wish they had, like, any other piece of gear that was, like, comically over bulky like the helmet is. Like, maybe something on their arms, or... like, something that had, like, the same red from the faceplate somewhere in it. Like, we have a little tiny bit here and there, but, like, something. Again, it's this thing of, like, there's, like, half of a really interesting idea here, but then there's just nothing else going on at all for me to take off on. This guy is the Drax. It sort of feels like that's what he is. He's the Drax. He's the big guy. Who, like, at a glance, I would say this guy has some opinions about honor and warrior culture, or, like, whatever, something like that. At a glance, I would say that. He's effective enough. Like, he has, like, the bindings around his hands that sort of tell us, oh, this is an up-close, like, fighter who, like, wants to get in your face and, like, punch you and hit you. I guess he's a tank sort of character. I guess that makes sense. I can read this guy as, like, in terms of his gameplay, and I can assume some things about his personality, but, like, what's supposed to make him interesting? Like, what's supposed to make him special? What's supposed to make him more than just a clone of Drax the Destroyer? What's supposed to make him more than just, I am the honorable warrior man? Again, the character design isn't really giving me anything there. I like her, them, they. I don't know what gender this person is. I quite like this, actually. Like, this, I kind of... Because here, the scrappy thing... Like, the thing, retrofuturistic sci-fi. We got a bunch of stuff from the hardware store, we spray painted it, and we slapped it onto a character, and that's like their sci-fi space gear. That energy is strong here, right? Like, this looks like we went, like, got a bunch of stuff from the hardware store, repainted it, and now this is our silly, goofy, sort of cheesy 70s sci-fi costume. I really do get that here. Like, I really do think that that works quite well. And gives me, like, a real sense of, like, oh, this is, like, a sort of fun, campy sort of jetpack character, I guess. Or, like, maybe this is, like, the flamethrower person, right? Could be, like, with the protective gear and all. Like, this kind of works for me. Like, I think the sort of scrappy, thrown-together aesthetic here works in a way that it doesn't on, like, this guy, for example. And, like, there's enough information here in terms of, like, this is, like, a slightly kooky character, right? I think this is a slightly kooky, slightly silly character who's like, sort of like, I'm gonna be an astronaut and I'm gonna build the whole thing from scratch in my backyard. Like, that feels like what the character is presenting here. Here, there's some information for me to work with, where, like, I feel like the outfit says something about the personality of the person who inhabits it. So I quite like that. Like, I don't want the whole video to be negative, but, like, these character designs are kind of, like, they give me so little. Like, they're really, really frustrating to engage with because I keep trying to read them. I keep trying to understand what they're trying to tell me, and every time I do, it feels like the conclusion I'm coming back to is that they're not telling me anything. Like, they refuse to give me anything to understand them by, to really sort of get storytelling or gameplay information or anything out of them by. I don't know who these people are. Right? Like, their character designs just don't tell me anything, and that's frustrating. As I understand it, Concord has had a really weak launch. I think it has, like, positive reviews, but, like, not a lot of people are playing it. And, like, certainly, most people aren't quite like me. Like, I get turned on or off from a game entirely based on the visual aesthetic, but certainly, like, looking at these character designs, I don't want to engage with this game because it doesn't feel like there's anything there to engage with. Like, it really doesn't feel like there's anything here in terms of, like, strong, unique, special characters who have, like, a deal going on with them that's, like, only their deal. Like, she kind of does. They kind of do. If only because they're inscrutable. Like, I don't know what's going on with them. But, like, this fucking guy? This lady? I don't really know what the deal is with this robot. Am I supposed to understand it as sinister or cute? I have no idea what her deal is, because she's wearing, like, 80s businesswoman outfit, but also ninja weapons, but also blade glass. Like, she's sort of, like, has, like, the killer vampire glasses thing, and then also purple lipstick and purple hair, which doesn't really mesh very well with the red coat, I don't think. I don't think red and purple, like, that shade of red and purple go together really well. Yeah, it's like, occasionally there's glimmers of a good idea in here that I'm sort of going, oh shit, that's kind of cool. But mostly I just look at these and I'm frustrated. I feel so frustratedly denied access to who these characters are. Denied information about how to read them, how to understand them, how to engage with them. And, like, again, maybe if you do play the game, maybe if you watch the cinematics and read the lore, like, maybe these characters begin to open up and they begin to make more sense. But at a glance, right, at a first impression, they're giving me nothing, man. Just really nothing. Anyway, I've stayed up way too late and I need to go to bed now. That was a ramble. Bye.